We are now counting feet of snow in the Sierra. I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods. We have seen a very wet and snowy February. We're going to be taking a look at some of those totals. So 10 feet of snow for Mammoth in the month of February. And yes, we're still counting because, as you can see, more rain and snow falling throughout the northern part of the state. Coming in from the Bay Area, where we had earlier on our Tuesday a flash flood warning. A band of rain just really stuck across the coast, finally making its progress eastward throughout the valley, where for a period of time we had some severe weather popping up for parts of Plumas and Butte County, where we briefly had a severe thunderstorm warning issued. Still looking at periods of heavy rain as we head into our Tuesday evening, and snow continues to pile up for the Sierra. As we look at some of those winter storm severity index numbers, you can see extreme impacts continuing through parts of the Sierra into tonight and early tomorrow. This is what it looks like right now on eastbound I-80 at Kingvale, where the trucks are trying to make their way through safely over the passes. Chain controls in effect as we look over towards Donner Summit. Nearly impassable conditions with visibility that is so poor right now. They're trying to clear the road, but it's really dangerous up in the high country with, again, more snow coming in. Our winter weather advisory continuing until Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. That was issued over the course of Sunday, so it's been going on for a couple of days now. Flood watch also continuing until tomorrow morning. Millions of people affected by this. We've seen periods of on and off heavy rain as well as thunderstorms. In fact, look at these pictures from Somerset and check out the sound.
Whoa! OMG. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's hail coming in the Somerset community in the foothills, where we had that band of rain really intensifying. So some incredible pictures right there. With that flood watch, also want to make sure that you're aware that we still have runoff coming in from the high country, especially with that higher snow level that we've been tracking. We've seen snow on the passes, but near areas around 5,000 feet or so it's been mainly rain, and that's adding additional pressure to rivers and streams. Remember, turn around, don't drown. Earlier this week, we had a couple that was unfortunately trapped in their car, tried to navigate down a road and got trapped by those floodwaters. Here's the precipitation since midnight that we've seen. Anywhere from about 1/10 of an inch to almost 1/2 an inch of rain in the valley and parts of the foothills. Over 1/2 an inch of rain for San Francisco, where again, we have that flash flood warning in effect for parts of our Tuesday. We're not quite done with the rain overnight tonight. We see a little bit of rain popping up, potential for some thunderstorm action overnight tonight as well. Morning commute largely starting off dry, but that low is not done bringing us rain as we start to see areas of showers popping up once again right after the noontime hour due to that low right there. Snow will continue as well for parts of the Sierra. So we're not quite at that point where we can get up safely and easily due to weather impacts in the Sierra. It's coming, but just not quite yet. As far as total accumulation still to come from this weather system, about 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch of rain for the valley, closer to about 1/2 an inch of rain for the foothills. And then for the Sierra, still tracking about 1 to 7 inches of snow into our Wednesday outlook. As far as our snowfall since Saturday, these numbers are certainly impressive. Kirkwood, 36 inches, Soda Springs, 31. Mammoth Mountain, we talked about the 10 feet of snow they've had in February, 28 inches just since Saturday. Sierra Tahoe, 27. North Star, 24. Palisades, Tahoe, 21. Sugar Bowl along I-80 at 20 inches of snow. Right near there, Boreal at 15. And then along Highway 50, 11 inches of snow for Heavenly in the Tahoe Basin. Homewood at 10 inches on the west side of the lake. Taking a look at our rainfall since Saturday, these numbers continue to climb. Again, this is just as of 6 p.m. on Tuesday. Forest Hill, almost 4.5 inches of rain, over 3 inches for Volcano. That's south of Highway 50 in parts of the foothills. Roseville, one of our bigger communities, 2.76 inches of rain. Yuba City, 2.25 inches. Vacaville, over 2 inches of rain, as well as Folsom and downtown Sacramento. Elk Grove, 1.36 inches. Modesto, 1.25 inches. And Stockton, nearly 1 inch of rain. But that number is still potentially going to go up because we have that band of rain moving through for tonight. Snow as well piling up for this year all the way into tomorrow morning. And then we'll see a little bit of a break periodically tomorrow afternoon. It's not going to be completely dry up in the high country or for the valley because that back edge finally pulls its way through. After that, we'll be under this ridge of high pressure. That will give us some drying out Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday before we start tracking this low off the coast. It's kind of interesting what's happening with that low, though. Some of the weather models are saying, oh, yeah, this is going to move through on Sunday evening through Monday. Others are saying, let's see what happens with that high pressure ridge and how much that blocks it from coming in. River forecast monitoring because of all this water. We do need to, especially be monitoring some of our rivers. Sacramento River is at flood stage right now at Ord Ferry. This has a passive weir. So basically what that means is the system that's in place allows for the flood waters to just flow freely off the banks there into areas that are designated for flood overflow. And so we'll watch that. That's expected to recede as we head into our Wednesday forecast. Part of the problem is a lot of pressures being put on that particular upstream monitoring station because Shasta, which is the headwater of that, is releasing water. Not so much anymore. They're allowing some of that water to fill in, but you can see what was happening here, releasing some of the water just because of the storm that was coming in. So now those waters are starting to go up. The teal shade right here, that's our average. But I think what's really interesting here is look at where we were last year. Last year, one of the biggest water years we've had on record in some places. We're way ahead of where we were last year at this point. Shasta really filling up nicely. The U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, by the way, is going to be letting us know what their intentions are for allocations for the dry season. Could be 100%, maybe, maybe not. I have to wait and see. Tomorrow they're going to have that media briefing, so we'll be updating you with that as well. Our major water reservoir conditions, you can see Shasta is at 85% full. Again, that's our biggest one in the state. Oroville at 81, Folsom at 61% full. Everyone is above our historical average, coming off of what was last year one of the biggest water years on record. And now we're having nearly another one following it. New Melones, 138% of average, 82% full, as well as Don Pedro, San Luis at 66% full, still 84% of historical average. All right, let's just take a look at the month in review so far. We still are not done with the rain yet. Almost every day over the month, we've had at least some sort of measurable precipitation. We had that nice drying out period from February 9th through the 13th, and wow, did we need it, because even given that drying out period that we had for 5 days, our total is now at 4 3/4 inches of rain for downtown Sacramento, well above our average by 2.2 inches. February has been a complete soaker for us, not just for downtown Sacramento, but for the entire state. These are the raw numbers of what we've seen for statewide precipitation just since the beginning of the water year, which starts the previous year, October 1st, and will run through this September 30th. But all in all, almost everybody well above average. I know South Lake Tahoe is still running a little bit behind, but we've had a lot of water come in, so we're doing really well in terms of the saturation of the ground and having that water for the dry months that are soon to come. Los Angeles, over 6 inches ahead of normal. Santa Barbara is almost 8 inches ahead of where we would normally be at this point in the season. San Diego getting big headlines as well at 2.45 inches ahead of where we should be. Even the northern part of the state, which really didn't benefit quite as much as we did last year, ahead of normal. So the Northern Sierra, with our snow water equivalent, nearly 100% average to date. Nice to see that number go up, because when we started off the year in January, things weren't looking too good. We were at like 25% of average. For the Central Sierra, 81% of average, and the Southern Sierra, 78%. That's going to put our statewide average at 85% of average to date. Basically, the snow water equivalent, if you're not familiar with that, that's just if we were to take the snowpack, melt it down, how much water would we be able to get from that. So the 8 to 14 day weather hazards outlook is still putting us in this moderate risk for precipitation. And as far as snow, Slight risk right through the Sierra Spine, up through parts of the California-Oregon border, stretching all the way through the Pacific Northwest. Now, the wind hazard starts to shift ever so slightly to the north. Now, this is going to fall in line with what the Climate Prediction Center is saying. It's kind of looking like maybe favoring a little bit colder pattern for us. Lots brewing out in the Pacific, so there's certainly plenty of action coming our way. It's likely looking wetter in that California-Oregon border sector all the way along the northern coast through perhaps the Sacramento region, so right through the Sacramento Valley. Once we get into the San Joaquin Valley and even parts of Southern California, not quite clear signature of that wetter than average pattern developing, but throughout the entire state, likely cooler as we start off the new month. We'll get through 2 more systems, it looks like, with the kind of the warmer side of things. Certainly still dealing with that one that started this past Sunday, and that will last through tomorrow. And then here's what I was talking about with that low that's setting off the coast. Potential for that to be feeding us into our late Sunday forecast into Monday, but then we start to see more action coming in from the north. That would give us a colder scenario, more snow for the Sierra, less runoff, less pressure for the reservoirs early in the season, and we'll be able to kind of store that as snow instead of storing it in our reservoirs where we're still in that flood control phase, and water managers just basically have a threshold where they have to start to release water to prepare for anything that's to come in the spring season. But all the way through next week, yeah, look at that. Lots of snow coming in through the Pacific Northwest all the way through Northern California. Looking at the rundown of our 5-day forecast, if you're trying to get those windows of opportunity to head up the hill, looks like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, even early Sunday. Still looking pretty good. For the foothills, pretty much the same setup. And for the coast, we're looking at dry weather until we get to about Sunday. The 10-day forecast, we're going to keep that action going on our Wednesday for a chance of showers. Then Thursday, Friday, Saturday for the valley is dry. Even the beginning of Sunday before we start to track that next weather system into early next week. Beyond that, looks like we could have some drier weather, but there's still a lot of uncertainty, I will say, about that next Friday forecast because we have to watch those systems coming in out of the Gulf of Alaska. But in the meantime, nice to see a whole lot of sunshine up there on our 10-day forecast. Be sure to keep it right here because we will continue to follow this very active weather pattern. And be sure to download our ABC 10 Plus app where you can find series like Mega Flood as well as Water Wasted. That is a series that was produced with the ABC 10 weather team. So check that out and stay dry out there.